On this channel, $1 Million Made Easy, we love to run numbers. And on this video, I'd like to consider the two questions. When you do reach retirement age, you're going to start withdrawing from your nest egg. We want to look at your asset allocation and also your withdrawal rate. We want to look at those two different things. Usually I run $1 million here, but I realize we've seen in other videos only about 6 to 8% of people actually make it to $1 million. So I'm going to run 600,000. What we want to do is just start running some numbers. I'm going to initially pick 2,000, which is the 4% rule right here. Okay, 4%. We're also going to give the individual a COLA, 2% COLA to try to keep up with inflation. We could run 3% or 4%, but I'm just going to do 2%. So that'd be 24,000 the first year, then 24,480, and so on. What we want to do is see. We're going to take 100 years of the S&P 500 historical data and see where somebody would have been during all those different years to see how this would have worked out. So I'm going to update this. This is the 4% rule. And we're going to see that right here, 2 times in the last 100 years, you would have run out of money in 20 years, and of course 2 times in 30 years. Obviously, it's both right here. So that's 1929. What was so special about 1929? Well, most of you know it's the Depression years. What's happening? You're having all this money coming out. It just devastates, and you're running out of money right here. The reds show you run out of money in 16, or actually 15 years. 1930 wasn't much better. Lasted 18 years. But you're running out of money, even with the 4% rule. Now, if you eliminated the COLA, that would probably save you. Another thing that people recommend, though, is don't leave it all in the S&P 500, which makes a lot of sense because you want to have some money in a cash reserve account. So when the market's going down, when it's going down like this, you're not taking these 24,000 amounts out of your S&P, which would knock it down when it's already going down. It'd be coming out of your cash reserve. So when the market does come back, your S&P 500 can rebound with more money. But so let's go ahead and run a scenario. How about a 70-30 split? In other words, 70% going to stay in the S&P 500, and 30% is going to go over to the cash reserve account. Okay, 1929. Did it do much difference? What was it again? Running out of money in 15 years. If you did a 70-30, now your money's running out in 23 years. I just want to go down here a little bit farther so you can see the actual red. So you see it's running out of money right there. This is 1929. Again, just one of the 2 years where you actually ran out of money in the last 100 years. If I show you in the graph, you'll go, wow. 2 times. Look at the rest of these amounts you'd have left. This is after 20 years. These are the amounts you'd have left, starting with 600,000. In many cases, not many, but look how many cases you actually have more than what you started with. 600,000 right here. There's about a dozen of them. You can see all these different ones, but we never know what's going to happen, and you don't know what's going to happen if you're going to have times like the Depression years. But I want to look at something a little bit more recently. Oh, also I wanted to run a couple other scenarios. This is asset allocation. How about a 60-40? 60 remaining in the S&P 500. Oh, then it would have lasted 29 years. Look at that. 29 years with a 60-40 split. Let's do one other one, 50-50. Did you notice what just happened? It was 29 years with a 60-40, but once I went with a 50-50, in other words, more in the cash reserve and less, your money ran out sooner. How about 60-40? It's going down. In other words, you need to leave a considerable amount of money in the S&P 500 for your asset allocation so it can come back when the market comes back. But it looks like in this case, the 60-40 was about the best. But again, it depends on what's going on. But let's continue looking at some of these amounts. Let's go with 2,500, which would be 5%. Obviously, 4% runs you out of money in 1929 and 1930. It's going to do the same thing. Okay, let me go back up here and show you. Now we're up to 4. 4 times in 20 years, you'd run out of money. 1928, let's look at the graph. 1928, 29, and 30. And we'll go along here. You can't really see it, but unfortunately, it's this pesky year 2000, which is probably pretty important to look at because that's within the last 20 years. Let's go up here and show you. 2000, again, we've gone up to 5% withdrawal rate. 2000. The reason that's so important because it's so recent. And if you look at this, we had 3 down years in 2000 and 2008. If you're taking out 2,500 and increasing that by 2% a year, you would have actually run out of money in the 19th year. But every other scenario, no problem. But do you really know if we're not going to have a time like we just had as recent as 25 years ago, having some down years in a row and then a big one right here? Um, Again, people will say, well, you wouldn't keep taking out 2,500. Right. That's the whole point. But if you took out 2,000, then your money would be lasting. Let's go down here and make sure that would be lasting. Be down to, of course, there hasn't been more than, there's only been 23 years since the year 2000. You'd be down to 415,000 in your S&P account, and you'd have with your cash reserve account, it'd be three. No, we don't have a cash reserve account yet, do we? Well, we need to do that, don't we? Okay, let's do the 70-30. 70-30, it looks like it didn't make a whole lot of difference. You have 366,000. How about 60-40? Nope. I got 181,000 left. How about 50-50? No, it's not looking good. So it looks like 4% rule, 2,000 would work most times. Let's just see. But the year 2000 would still be a little bit iffy, even with the 4% rule, no matter what asset allocation you seem to pick. I'm just going down here real quick to make sure I'm not misrepresenting this. Here's a summary box right here. After 20 years, 455,000. After 30 years, or after 20 years, 70-30. Just keep watching this 20-year box. It's staying down there. It looks like the 70-30 it was about the best representation there. So it'd be kind of a little bit iffy after 20 years. Again, 2000 wasn't too good. And let's go ahead and go with the $3,000 a month. I want to do one more thing at the 5%. Oh, no, we have the 4% rule. I want to take out the COLA and just see how that affects. Okay, after 20 years with the 70-30, you'd have 575,000. Let's keep going down here. 49, 403. So it still looks like 80% left in the S&P 500 would be better than 70% left. Did you catch that? That's interesting. Yeah, it looks like 80-20 would be the best split. Again, you don't know what's going to happen. I'm just running numbers just because I'm really interested. What would be the best asset allocation when you have a down market like we just had within the last 25 years, if you're just taking out the 4% rule? But go ahead. Let's go with the 6% here. I'm just running numbers for you. I know this is probably getting a long video, but I just love running numbers. Let's update this. Well, let's go back to the 2% COLA also, because you just hate to not have a COLA over a long period of time. Okay, 6%. Okay, 7 times in the last 100 years you run out of money. According to the graph, you can see right here, 28, 29, 30, 31, and you got 3 years. Guess what they are? 1999, 2000, and 2001. But every other scenario, again, look at all these amounts you'd have left. That's withdrawing 6%. But again, does anybody really know if we're not going to have something like this? So let's run down through here one more time with different scenarios. Let's look at 1973. The reason I'm picking that one because that was 2 down years in a row. You're not going to run out of money because we just looked at the graph, but I want to see what would happen as you change the cash reserve, the ratio. How about an 80-20? Oh, we wanted to do this right here too. 1973. I should have done this ahead of time, I know. So 1973, no problem. I don't even know why I'm looking at that. It doesn't really matter what your asset allocation is. You're going to be in great shape. So the 73-74 wasn't near as problematic, even though there's 2 down years. It's when you get 3 and 4 down years and 3 down years like that, and then have a big one like that. That's when you have the problem. So all these other decades, 4% rule, fine. 5% rule, fine. 6% rule, fine. It's just when you get the depression years and then this pesky 2000. And again, that's why you kind of got to be a little bit careful. Do you want to take out 6%? And then if the market goes down, you don't want to run out of money, so you'd be cutting way back. You'd probably have to go to negative amounts. Like right here, let's see, the year 2000, if I go to 3% less each year, okay, then your money's lasting. 4% less each year. See the number going up? You got 390,000 left. If you took 5% out, again, you'd only be doing that while the market's going down. I understand that, but that just shows you, you you really have to monitor what's going on those initial years. I realize this has been a long video, but I just want to run some numbers. Hopefully you learned some principles and some things to consider when you're looking at retirement and your asset allocation and also the percentage you're withdrawing. Please consider subscribing to this channel. I love to run numbers for you. Please subscribe. Please share this with friends and like the video, and thanks for watching.